Hello and welcome to Journeys in Transformation Analytics. I'm Amaresh Tripathy. I run the analytics business at Genpact. And with me today, I have Kiran Mysore, who is the former Vice President of Operational Analytics and Insights at Medtronic. Kiran, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. So just to give some context, so we had done some research recently on the whole notion around what is the cost of insights, what is the economics of decision making, and we got Kiran to go and chat a little bit about some of the key themes that kind of came out of that research, and given his experience in various companies, okay, we thought it would be great to get some perspective from Kiran. So Kiran, one of the things that we've been wondering when we started the research was around as we think about how a lot of organizations don't have a end-to-end view about what is the economics of their entire analytical decision making is, right? From organizing the data, setting up the data to kind of consumption of it, and then driving the business value of it. So that's kind of one big theme that came out. And the second one is, I mean, when you actually add the numbers and you kind of do a little bit of back of the envelope calculation, it actually adds up to a fairly big number, right? I mean, our estimate is like 12 to 15% of the IT spend on or $20,000 to $40,000 per decision, and in a large kind of an organization, kind of adds up to millions of dollars. So just wanted to kind of first get your perspective on how in your roles and everything, how did you think about this topic altogether, the economics of decision making?
Yes, Amresh, and I agree with you. I think most people don't think about what it takes to get to a cost of a decision, because a lot of times when, executives make decisions, the cost of that decision is attributed to the dashboard that they made that decision from, or the analytic that they used just on top of mind. But really, when you start to think about the total cost of making that decision, the cost that you incurred, it really depends on a lot more factors. For example, it depends on the type of decision that you're making and the ecosystem in which that makes this decision. So sometimes, for example, you might have a decision that is just done once, just to make the outcome of that decision count one time. But there may be other times when you look at multiple ongoing decisions or on a cadence. For example, you're a planner and you're making a decision every week in terms of how much to build, how much inventory to build. And sometimes the decision can actually be focused on changing the behavior of an activity so that you can actually get the true result of that. So again, in that case with the planner, if you have the greatest data point in front of you, can you actually make that decision count by making a change in your process? So all of these are aspects you have to think about when you think about cost of decision making.
Absolutely. And what we found was in the research, and which is what we are going to explore in probably this series of ours, there are four big themes on the drivers and levers that are coming up. Number one is just the discovery, the cost of data discovery, right? I mean, just understanding where does all the data exist outside the organization, inside the organization, and then obviously kind of thinking about cloud as a lever to manage that. We found the big lever was just ingesting the data. Just because you have discovered the data, doesn't mean you can kind of put all the data together. And in which order do you want to go? In which priority do you want to kind of go? So kind of connecting it to the business priorities was as another lever of managing and driving the cost. The data management function, like kind of transforming and organizing the data, that was the third layer, and then the final and the most important was kind of the consumption. How do you actually make sure whatever you produce, those insights are getting consumed? So those were the kind of the four big cost bucket and drivers, and some associated kind of levers to manage those costs kind of came up there. And what we'll do is in the series, Kiran, we'll just go, you and I will just chat a little bit on each one of them. A little bit more and go into details and get your experience on how you have managed and handled it. So hopefully, yeah. So I look forward to driving that discussion in subsequent episodes. But great to have you here for the first one.
Thanks for having me.